So this session we are going to talk about self-discipline as the topic. Such a very influential matter in life. If taken seriously, it can help us tremendously, in my idea. We're going to share our opinions about this topic, and maybe actually I hope that upon taking part in this session we will exercise more self-discipline in our lives, including me first. And yeah, so please open the page if you have not, and on as usual. Let me see. Okay, question number one, argue for and against. You know the procedure. I give you 3 minutes to get divided and go to your own room and actually take a piece of paper and pen and write down everything that comes into your mind. Unfortunately, this session, actually, we don't have so many participants, but anyway, the quality is more important than quantity. Okay, please use your 3 minutes. Okay, so let me see. The question is, self-discipline is the most important ingredient of success in life. This is a casual statement. We're going to just argue for and against it. Well, you argued for this statement, and to be honest, I should argue against it. It doesn't mean that actually I'm against the whole idea of the significance of self-discipline in life, but I believe that there are more important things than self-discipline. Now I want to listen to your argument. Fatima, you may start.
Yes, I think self-discipline is the most difficult properties of achieving any success. And it needs to have some practice in order to be to have this discipline in every aspect of our life. And without it, we cannot perform our schedules or our plans. And
so why do you think that it is the most? The question is, it is the most important element or ingredient of success. Well, how can you prove it to me that actually we don't have any other element more important than this?
Because everyone knows about how to achieve their goals, or about planning or setting goals.
Are you sure? I disagree with you. Because actually this is not a monologue, that's why I interrupt you. You say you said that everybody knows how to set goals, but that's not the case in my mind, in my idea.
I think most people knows, because if we ask them about how to achieve success, definitely they can answer our questions and they can explain about the ways of achieving it. But most people most people have problems in achieving it because of being lazy, for example, or also having other problems, or making some excuses, or other things which is related to self-discipline. And I think, for example, we may have some experiences, and I'm sure that we didn't achieve our goals because of this problem, because of lacking such properties.
Okay, now Sasam, what do you think about it? Do you seem to agree with Fatima, but I was not that convinced. How can you convince me that self-discipline is the most important?
Yes. I think it's the most important point for getting whatever you want in your life, because if you are not self-disciplined, lacking.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. The question is not whether it is the most important element to get what you really want in life, because actually getting what you really want in life is not completely interchangeable with success.
Okay, so uh, for being successful in your life, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Because actually, gratification and success is, to some extent, as I said, they are not synonymous with getting what you want.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. For being successful, as if I want to mention the ingredients for being successful in your life, I suppose that self-discipline is one of is the most important point, because if you are not self-disciplined enough,
Mhm.
you're actually making other ingredients under a big question.
For
Because
example,
when you are not self-disciplined, it means that you cannot follow a schedule. You cannot actually behave, or let's say, do your jobs according to a schedule regularly, and you have some problems for following a schedule. And I think when you want to be successful, before that, and as a prerequisite, you have a goal for yourself. And when you want
mm,
to reach a goal, you need to follow some steps. And
okay.
without self-discipline, how can you follow actually? How can you follow further, and how can you follow the steps?
Well, as a matter of fact, you already said that in order to be successful, in order to achieve your goals, you need to have goals, actually, or a set of goals. You need to just specify them in advance. And actually, setting goals is not the same as having self-discipline. I believe that, and also I'm not just playing a game with you. I express my real idea in this case, and I think that self-discipline is absolutely important. It is indisputable. But the point is that I think there are even more incipient, or let's say hierarchically important elements, such as self-knowledge, knowing yourself. Because I have seen so many people, to be honest, they have a lot of self-discipline, but they are barking on the wrong tree. It means that they are just pressing, let's say, and putting a lot of effort into something that is not that important. They are self-disciplined about unimportant things. They don't know that these particular thing they are preoccupied with actually has nothing to do with their success and gratification in life. And because of the fact that actually they have not set clear goals, and they have not prioritized the goals, so they just start from less important, let's say, points, and they just give priority to trivial and trifling, let's say, matters. And that's a huge mistake, I think, a blatant mistake that many people make.
You're right, and I think those types of people that you talked about are out of garden, if you want to translate in Persian.
Why not? Self-discipline actually is a neutral issue. You can be disciplined about many things, and maybe actually you can be self-disciplined in relation to even criminal activities. For example, a very determined thief,
Yes,
a
but
very determined criminal.
but there's a question in my mind.
Sure.
Uh, when we talk about success, does it necessarily actually refer to good jobs? That's a
Good
real
question.
question in my mind.
Well, as a matter of fact, as far as I know, it's my idea. I'm not going to impose my ideas upon yours. Success has something to do with the level of gratification and satisfaction, and let's say the lasting relaxation, and also a state of mind that you develop in which you feel important, and you think that actually you are on the right track. This is the definition of success in my idea.
And I think even a thief could could have all of the feelings that you talked about. and maybe
Yeah.
after doing some bad job, he or she could have a sense of success.
Yes, that's why I said actually self-discipline should be defined at first, and also you should not be disciplined in every matter.
Yes, exactly.
And also, that was the worst scenario, you know. Maybe actually there are a lot of, there is a dilemma in front of you. You could be, for example, an engineer and at the same time a physician. And you don't have enough talent for physician, supposedly, hypothetically. And you just opt for becoming an engineer. And maybe the other way around. But you are not talented in that. If you do not know yourself, actually. Okay. So let's continue. Question number 2. The photo. This man has a pretty determined face. And I want you to just be very specific, as the title of this activity indicates, photo scanning. And one by one, actually, let's start with Fatima. Fatima, how can you prove it to me and to us?
I think this man, his face more shows that he's a very serious person, and also determined about her eyebrows or about her way of looking. And,
Okay.
he shows that he's a very serious person.
Okay, so far so good. Thank you. And Sasan, by the way, you have already made it clear, scowling feature.
Yes. Is it right? Is it a good verb for this?
Oh, well, it's not that clear whether he is scowling or frowning at somebody. Maybe actually he's rather
Yes.
relaxed, but he's so opinionated about a particular thing. I don't see any sign of anger. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe
Yes.
maybe the position of his eyebrows is that's why.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
also he's looking at a specific point, and it looks that it's maybe in a further point, in a further process. And that's why we think that he's planning something for the future, and he's completely determined to get what he wants.
that's right. Unfortunately, we cannot see his forehead completely. Otherwise, we could, let's say, make a decision whether he is angry or not, because there will be some, let's say, lines on one's forehead when he or she becomes angry or goes angry. Well, yes.
The things he's looking at is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's full concentrated on one particular thing. He's preoccupied, steeped in something, and even actually he is in the foreground of our attention and also the scene, and the background is all in dark. It shows that actually the background is not important, and we need to just focus on the foreground of this photo. Okay, is there anything else? Do you have any idea, any further idea?
No.
Do you think that the fitness, I mean, when a person is fit, is it right? And, I mean, if he was a really, let's say, fat person
Mm-hmm.
who was completely obese, and I think he couldn't actually send these types of frequency to us.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't able to make us understand that he's completely determined. Is that right? Do you think that?
Yes, it has some effect. If a person is as fit as a fiddle, and he or she is in a good shape physically, actually that person is going to have a very impressive effect on us, and we would take that person more seriously automatically and subconsciously.
It's because at least we knew that he was able in his life to actually control one of his impulses.
Yeah, yes, exactly. He must be able to have a lot of self-control, as you said, or thought control.
Maybe he is an athlete, actually.
It seems so because of the way he has been dressed, and but we are not sure. And also his physical condition, as far as I can see, his chest, to some extent, his posture shows that actually he must be an athlete, as a kind of conclusion. Okay. Yeah, the beauty of this activity is that nothing is for sure, and
Yes.
we just focus on some hypotheses. All right. So, because actually you cannot maneuver over factual ideas. If it is a fact, there is no doubt about it. If it is an opinion, we can just argue over that. Please respond to this question.
Yes, I think for mentioning some properties of the people who are self-disciplined, we can say that first of all, I think they are not obese and they are maybe they are fit, and as a physical property of a person who is self-disciplined, and also he or she is completely serious and determined.
No, forget about the photo. It's not related to the photo.
No, it's not about the photo. I'm talking about the features of the people who are self-disciplined.
Okay. Usually it refers to mental characteristics, not physical characteristics. But anyway.
Yes. I think those types of people who are actually have followed, or let's say have taken a lot of process for getting something in their lives. For example, they have succeeded in some steps of their life, and they have exercised to be self-disciplined, and as a result, they are determined, and they are goal-oriented people. And actually, when a person has self-discipline, it means that he or she needed this actually feature in advance in some steps of his or her life, and as a result, you can say that he is or she is goal-oriented. And these were some specific points about actually self-disciplined people.
Okay. Very good. So the question is that I want to add some question. This question just came into my mind. Fatima, I want you to answer my question, and this is all about suppose that you have come to this conclusion that you do not have enough self-discipline. How can you just gain more self-discipline and just actually implement it in your own life?
Yes. I think this question is related to the next question.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't review the question. Let me see. Hold on. How can... Oh, yeah, you first.
Okay. I think that in my view, self-discipline can be synonymous with the abstinence. And so
yes.
We should know what to do and what not to do, and we should push some pressure to ourselves and force ourselves to do things, or avoiding other things. And also, and I believe that this property is very difficult, but we should learn it. And I think we should feel some pressure. Otherwise, we cannot achieve this. If we wanted to get everything easy, we cannot be a self-disciplined person. We should do anything to achieve it. We should do something in every day in order to get that habit.
Great.
And little by little, we can achieve it.
Okay. Is there anything else?
And not more. I think that one is very important. I listened to the video, and there are some properties you mentioned, but the most important one, I think, is anything related to the abstinence. And according to Quran or other religious books, being abstinence is the most difficult property of a person, of human beings.
Yeah, being abstinent and also continent. Abstinence as a noun usually refers to what you eat and drink, and also actually having a lot of self-disciplines over that. But actually it may refer to other things as well. And okay, thank you Fatima. And the same question to you, Sasan. If you think that you don't have enough self-discipline, how can you, for example, suppose I don't have enough self-discipline, and you are going to give me some hints on that, on developing more self-discipline. How can you advise me?
Actually, in addition to what Fatima said, I think that it's not an inborn feature or quality, and we need to, and if you want to be self-disciplined, we need to exercise. And if I want to, it's clear that you are more self-disciplined than me, and I cannot advise you. But the point is that, and I think that if you want to learn to be self-disciplined, it's a good idea to start from small projects. For example,
Great.
Set a goal for yourself and try to. That is not that difficult for a person at the, let's say, first or second steps, and after succeeding in that project, you can develop it into a bigger one. And in this way, we can make a progress, and we can get better and better, and be a self-disciplined person at the end.
That's right. Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, if the task is so formidable and it just daunts you and frightens you, as you said, you can just break it into smaller pieces, and piece by piece we just fulfill the task, and we will be motivated during the whole process, and in so doing we will let's say develop the habit, because actually self-discipline is just a habit, and we are so let's say influenced by our habit formation system, and we need to just strengthen the positive habit of self-discipline, and let's say demotivate and degrade the negative effects of laziness, indolence, demotivation, and so on and so forth. And it takes time. We need to put a lot of practice and give it a lot of, let's say, try and hang on there. Okay.
And I think if a person wants to be really self-disciplined, I mean, if you want to behave according to a really tight schedule, you need to put some pressure on yourself.
Well, it's not, as a matter of fact, self-discipline, in support of what you said, self-discipline means, I think Jim Rohn just defined it in this way, but I really found it interesting, that when you need to do something and you should do something, even if you don't like it, but you do it. This is self-discipline. So it doesn't mean that actually the thing that you should do is really pleasant. Conversely speaking, actually it is most of the time completely unpleasant. And according to Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog, that is a very interesting book. Even actually it's like a frog, and you need to swallow it as soon as possible, and the more you just focus your attention on, think about it, it's going to be actually more hideous and uglier in your idea to get involved in that.
Yes, you're right, but I think in some degrees it could be joyful. For example, after becoming a habit for yourself, for example, imagine that you do something every day according to some of your rules that you set for yourself, and after that, it becomes a habit for you. But living a habit could be such a disease. And maybe in that perspective, that could be joyful when you follow and try to do or behave according to habits again and again.
That's right. Fatima, did you want to say something?
Yes. I want to ask you if you agree that strict people are more self-disciplined than others.
Undoubtedly, it's clear. Those who are strict, it means that actually they just find themselves obliged to do something that is necessary no matter what. Satan, do you have the same idea?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And carefree people and indifferent people, they just get carried away, and usually actually they don't have any fixed position in anything.
So we should be strict in order to be self-disciplined.
Strict, not with that interpretation of being, let's say, so inflexible and so unsociable people. No, maybe actually you can be strict and serious and at the same time humorous. I have my own sense of humor, but I'm a very serious person. They are not in contradiction with each other, and you can take a moderate approach and enjoy your own life, because actually being so strict, so stern, it's not good for you. In the long term, you will be exhausted, and I think it will lead you to an early grave.
I think there are two types of people when it comes to strict people. Some people are strict and they enjoy whatever they do. For example, imagine a teacher who is completely serious and tries to put a lot of pressure on the students, and also he enjoys the process because he's trying to nourish a lot of students. And on the other hand, imagine a teacher who actually who is completely serious and bothers actually students, and he doesn't enjoy the process. And I think all of the students run from these types of teachers.
Yeah, I believe that I categorize according to the latter, because usually my students are not.
No.
Or they are running away from me. Well. But anyway.
You are in the first group.
That was just in jest. But generally speaking, I think life, my life, your life, everybody's life should be based on some principles. Otherwise, it will become chaotic. And the class that you are experiencing here on this online community is definitely principle based, because otherwise you would waste your time, and I don't want you to experience that. And when everything is organized, when everything is based on some principles, you can get the most out of it. Otherwise, I don't agree with that.
Yes, I do believe in
Yes,
your idea,
you're right.
process, and your plans.
Okay, so let's continue. Let me see. Question number 5 from Sasan. To what extent do you agree with me that the people who do not care about what and how much they eat lack self-discipline? For example, the people who tend to eat greasy, unhealthy food. And in response to Fatima's question and point, first of all, thank you very much, Fatima. But I think that since Sasan has made it clear to what particular group of people he is referring to, it could be the case that we could use the article there before that in order to make that it is definite, not indefinite.
Yes, right.
Okay, and thank you for your correction and your point. So please, Fatima.
I agree with you, Sasan, because health is the most important blessings of our God, and people who do not care about it, I think such people lack self-discipline. But we cannot say that such people are not self-disciplined in every areas. Maybe they are not self-disciplined in this area. For example, they cannot avoid eating unhealthy foods or greasy food. But I agree that they aren't self-disciplined in such area.
Okay, so is there anything else?
Sorry.
Yes.
What about your idea about this question?
Well, let me see. Yeah, I agree with that because actually it is one of the principal, one of the, let's say, primary aspects of self-discipline. If they do not, if they cannot control what they eat, you cannot expect them to control what they think. And as a matter of fact, it comes first. It takes precedence over the other thing. And eating is one of the primary and rudimentary, let's say, styles a person can develop. I agree with this statement that those people who develop a kind of obesity and it is purposeful, it means that actually it is their fault, because on some occasions people, because of some disorderliness in their hormones, and it is not just their fault, but if they just cause it to themselves and they are responsible for that, I don't think that those people could reach a high level of self-discipline, because they have not actually passed the rudimentary stages of self-discipline.
Exactly.
Well, that was a very good question. And well, let me see. Discipline important to achieve success in life? This is question number 1. 2, can you develop self-discipline, or is it an inborn capacity? 3, why do so many people have discipline problems? 4, how can you start to develop an optimum level of self-discipline? 5, how are self-discipline and habit formation related to each other? 6, what is self-discipline in action? 7, should exercising self-discipline be always an unpleasant experience?
Thank you for reading all of the questions.
You're welcome.
And for answering the second question,
Mm-hmm.
actually, the way that you can develop self-discipline in ourselves, and I think that it's a good idea to actually try to put it into action for small projects, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes.
think it was according to the video. Yes, is it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, as far as I remember. And actually putting into the action for the small projects would help you to develop this sense in your personality and your features. And after a couple of maybe after a period of time, that
Mm-hmm.
would be one of your habits, and it would be internalized
Right.
in your personality traits. Yeah,
So you could develop self-discipline even if you are not born with that.
exactly. Yes, and I think nobody is born with this feature. Do you agree with me?
Well, that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, I think there are some criteria that could have some effect on that. For example, if you are, to some extent, it's my personal idea, it's a raw idea. If you have some sort of aggressiveness, if some hormones in your bloodstream actually are high enough in terms of intensity, it may have some effect on your overall level of self-discipline. If there is a normal level of testosterone, for example, in your body, you will have enough self-discipline and let's say self-confidence that could indirectly affect your self-discipline level.
Yeah.
Because actually there is a very close positive correlation between self-discipline and self-confidence. You cannot accept a person who is diffident and low in confidence to have a lot of self-discipline. It's almost impossible.
Yes.
So there are some, it's the point is really complicated and multifaceted. But this is my idea because I have a, let's say, thirst for neurology, and I did some research on this issue, and I came up with this idea that let's say some particular neurotransmitters, for example, GABA and also dopamine, have some effects on the level of self-confidence and indirectly self-discipline.
I didn't know that. Yes.
Okay, so
But
yes.
can I ask you a question about the last question that you have written under the actually the video? In the video, as to the best of my recollection, it was saying that it could be joyful when it comes to one of your habits. I mean,
Yes.
following being its self-discipline.
Right.
Yes, is that right? Yeah, and I think if we want to continue our previous conversation, we can say that it could be joyful or enjoyful in some steps.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's.
I think
mhm.
when a standard person is doing something which is right and he's on the right track, the process should be enjoyable.
Yeah, there is another point about that, and that is the concept of inertia. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, inertia, yes.
Yeah, inertia, actually, we have two types of inertia, dynamic and static. And for example, you are in there is a very close relationship between comfort zone and the particular mental psychological area you just take shelter in order to get away from huge responsibilities that are backbreaking in the at first glance. So you have that static inertia in that psychological reality or psychological, let's say, state of mind. And there is a very important responsibility that requires your immediate attention. And you automatically do not want to get involved in that because of that static inertia. You need some sort of drive, some sort of push to push you forward. And that's why, according to many psychologists, the first step is the most difficult one. As long as you take the first step, actually the process is going to be a lot easier for you. And in other words, actually, you need to initiate the process and get the ball rolling. And as you said, you need to just start from smaller tasks, or let's say easier tasks at first. You don't need to just swallow a very huge task completely, because it's impossible.
Yes.
So it's going to be always, for example, when you just when you are finished with a very huge task and you reach a level of gratification, it's like actually mountain climbing. You reach a summit and you think that before reaching the summit, you think that that is going to be the ultimate, let's say, conquest. But when you reach that summit, you see that there are a lot of other summits right in front of you, and you need to just keep going. So it's endless. That's why there are always many tasks in front of you that you do not like. As a matter of fact, we need to accept it. But you are stronger enough to cope with them.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this point that maybe this ideal, actually this perspective is contradicts the actually the idea of Brian Tracy about his book that you should eat the ugliest frog at first.
Well, this is I don't see any contradiction. There will always be some ugly frogs in front of you, no matter how strong you are. Because, for example, you get stronger and there will be uglier frogs. So the frog gets uglier and uglier.
Yes.
But you can let's say, develop that level of stamina and strength that is actually more considerable, noticeable, and victorious.
Exactly.
Well, according to Michael Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, yes, Michael Jordan, he said that if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So we need to get better in order to just be capable of coping with more back-breaking tasks, more formidable tasks, and it is possible. This is my idea, something that I've never copied from anybody else. I start my day, the very first 15 minutes of my day, getting involved with the most unpleasant task that should be done. Just 15 minutes. And I call it a strengthening personality, SP. I call it strengthening personality. For example, there are many examples. That is rather personal. I don't want to talk about that here. But, everybody has some unpleasant things to do in his or her personal life. And I have a tendency to just postpone it. But when I just get up early in the morning, and 15 minutes is really nothing, I just take the first step, just take the first step. And you don't need to finish it completely. But when you just take the first step, it's going to be a lot easier for you, actually, and you won't postpone it to a later time.
But 15...
Yes, Fatima?
15 minutes are too short to do things.
Well, I told you I'm not going to finish the whole project during that 15 minutes. This is just the first step, and I just want to give myself that level of motivation that, okay, I have already taken the first step, and the rest is going to be easier for me. Because actually the problem is that usually people do not take the first step.
Yes.
Sasan?
And question crossed my mind. Do you think that
Good question. That actually, if you are in line with, in harmony with the person, it's not going to be against you. It's going to be for you. If and only if you are in harmony with the person. For example, if I'm voluntarily alone because I noticed that, for example, if that person was not a good match for me, and we couldn't just harmonize with each other, I believe that in unity there is a strength, but the unity that is really accurate and really good for you. And for example, you raise the issue of marriage. I believe that marriage is like a bird that needs two identical and harmonious wings in order to be able to soar in the sky. And if one of the wings actually is defective, the bird cannot soar in the sky. So I've seen so many people actually who are married but they are miserable.
Yeah.
So I think I gave a good answer to your question.
Exactly, yes. Thank you so much for your answer.
You're welcome. If we manage our time perfectly, I think that we can do whatever we really want. Our time is short and we cannot do everything, but we can do the most important things that really matter.
Yes.
Okay. Fatima, do you have any question?
No.
Okay,
Fine.
so let's focus on the last part, call for feedback. Hold on. Thank you for your listening. I'm Dr. Hariri and I can help you to improve your English academically in preparation for the IELTS and TOEFL exam. Here you can see my contact information, including my telephone number, Skype ID, and also website address at lelb.net, and in the footer area of the website you can have all the other necessary contact information in order to stay in touch with me. Thank you and have a great time.